Can you compare the R53 Mini S to the Fiesta ST? The start-stop will shut the car off before you come to a stop.
Oh, weird.
Which has got to be their last-ditch effort to try and save some fuel on this car. But, like, when you're coming to a stop, when you hit 5, it shuts off. But it locks the steering.
No.
Yeah. I love the rare factor of the GSF and being a true F performance car, but the IS500 is newer with better tech. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Off the Record. I talk about them every week. You know them. You love them. We love them. Everyone loves them. Off the Record. Get you out of those tickets, those pesky little tickets. The cops are out in full force this holiday season. They got to make those quotas. Don't let it happen. Fight back. Don't plead guilty. Call Off the Record. There's a whole financial ecosystem based on writing you tickets. It does not improve road safety. It just lines the pockets of the police department and the courts, and you got to keep that money by calling Off the Record. If you get a ticket, any kind of moving violation in the United States, just go to offtherecord.com/TST or download that Off the Record app and use code TST10. Just make an account, send a photo or a scan of that ticket. Off the Record will do the rest. They will connect you with a qualified attorney who will fight that ticket in the jurisdiction in which you received it. You won't have to go to court. They'll do that for you. You won't have to negotiate. They'll do that for you. And if they don't get those points off your record, you don't pay. It's that easy. They are here for you. I've used Off the Record multiple times in the past. I got a case pending right now. Am I worried? Hell no, I'm not worried. They're going to handle it. And I get emails every single week from you guys talking about how Off the Record saved your backsides. It is a great system we've got going on here. offtherecord.com/TST or code TST10 on the Off the Record app. Do it now. All right, folks, we are back from our Thanksgiving vacaciones. It's a crew show. Zach went to Palm Springs. I went to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. We're going to tell you all about it. We got Airbnb woes. I drove the Cayenne S on my Thanksgiving vacation in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I gave you a wrap-up of my experience driving the Formula One track in Vegas, and we got a whole lot more on this crew show. Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Hello.
We out you.
Hello, everybody. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Although I guess the people not listening for live aren't going to, because we had, right?
What?
When does this fucking show go up?
Tuesday. We just talked about it.
Like this week,
This
though.
coming Tuesday.
Right. Okay, this Tuesday. All right, so
We
yeah.
can still say happy. We hope you had a good
no,
Thanksgiving.
I know, but like I was thinking a week further down the road. I apologize. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope it was good. Was yours good?
It was great.
Palm Springs family?
All the dishes were delicious, which is a record.
Yeah.
Palm Springs family was fun. The dogs didn't fight.
Right. Oh,
All
there was
that
a
is
combo of dogs.
There are 5.
That's a lot.
7
of
kids,
dogs.
5 dogs.
Did the Airbnb host know that they were getting in a 5-dog situation?
Well, my aunt hosts the main thing, so she knows.
Oh,
and then
okay.
our Airbnb, which had problems, they knew we had a dog coming. The pool cleaner came at 5:45 in the morning, before dawn, and our dog went nuts, which I'm actually really appreciative of.
Yeah,
and I
so
get
the
up,
dog works.
Dog works as
Right.
security dog, and I walk out and in my underwear and just see dude in backyard at 5:45 in the morning, and I'm like, all right, I guess I fight in these MeUndies.
Yeah.
and he like held up the pool cleaning thing, and I went, all right, and I stayed awake until he left because I thought we were going to get serial killed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No notifications about that?
They said in the Airbnb book someone will be by 5:45
No, that's early.
before dawn in wintertime.
That's strange and early.
That's in our notes of complaints.
Right.
Yeah, I was freaked out.
Okay. Yeah, that would be weird. Yeah. That's something I'd want to know. Like, personally by before dawn.
Before
that's
dawn,
a thing to
don't
know.
schedule that. That's not all right.
Weird.
Also, the dryer knob was fixed with a literal Band-Aid. A Band-Aid fix of a literal Band-Aid. It was just too incredible to be upset about.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So those were...
Our Pigeon Forge Airbnb Tennessee, was brand new. Probably not even 6 months.
New construction.
Old, new construction. But the cheapest of everything, brand new. Looked good on the outside. Looked like a log cabin home, but very, very cheaply constructed. And almost certainly the appliances will not survive a year of Airbnb use, and they will probably all need to be replaced.
Are they old, or were they just
There
cheap?
was the dishwasher was like the cheapest dishwasher I've ever seen, and the lower tray where the plates go. There's like the top is where the cups go, and then the lower carriage that slides in and out. The wheels that were on it are these sort of like cartridges, like trucks, almost like think of like a skateboard truck being attached to the skateboard deck, and they're like
Right.
separate parts.
Right.
And so like one of the trucks like broke, just like came apart, and I was like, oh, this is fucking garbage. And then I look under the sink, and there's a box that's like a graveyard of trucks.
Oh, wow.
There's like 4 or 5 of these things just like busted up all
known
different
issue.
kinds of ways underneath the sink.
And was next to that a box full of new trucks that were $4 on Amazon you just replaced?
Oh, no new parts.
It's a wear item?
So what I did, there's 2 on one side, and then there was 2 on the other side, and one of them busted. So I took off the one that worked, and I put it in the middle, and I made a triangle, which actually was pretty
Yeah.
stable. I was impressed with myself for that engineering.
Nice, there's a mounting point in the middle.
Yeah, it was a little wobbly when you tried to move it, but if you just let it be, it stayed vertical, and the blade could spin.
Man.
But yeah, and this Airbnb was missing some things. Like, like one of my favorite things about Airbnbs is when you go to one, like there's usually like some sugar and some spices and some stuff that's been left from previous tenants. And when you check into an Airbnb, you don't go to the grocery store right away because you see, there might be, I don't need to buy an $8 thing of salt or whatever because there's probably one there.
Right.
This place, they cleaned out everything. There was nothing. You're starting from zero every time. And like no shampoos, no bars of soap, like zero. Everything was zero. I mean, there was towels, but and to their credit, like the beds were comfortable and there was a hot tub and a grill with a full propane tank. But like no salt and sugar, like no sponge in the sink.
That's really annoying.
And I was like, that's janky as fuck.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty janky.
A couple times I felt like I missed hotels. Having a dog, it's nice, and when there's a lot of people coming over, but Airbnb has swung too far.
I almost always prefer a hotel, but with my wife's family, hotels are not an option.
Okay.
Because everyone has to be together. That's the thing.
That is fun. If you don't have a gathering place, it's nice to have one like that. But man, there are other aspects.
Yeah. So when you tell someone from like New York or LA that you're going to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee for Thanksgiving, they're like, oh, that's charming. That's like an offbeat idea. You know who it's not an offbeat idea for? People from North Georgia, Tennessee, and North Carolina who descend on this place like it's Panama City, Florida in spring break.
Yeah.
Pigeon Forge was
Disneyland
a
there.
shit show. It's crazy. So much traffic. Couldn't get reservations, anywhere. Hour-plus long waits to get lunch at restaurants.
And there are 9 pancake houses, if I remember correctly.
There are a lot of pancake houses.
Yeah.
You could get pancakes in a whole variety of different places. Also, Trump bumper stickers. You can buy them anywhere. Anywhere and everywhere. My mother-in-law, shout out to her, asked one, she was like, where are the Biden stickers? And the guy was like, ma'am, those don't sell too well around here.
Really?
Yeah. It was real pure business.
Market forces.
Pure business.
Yeah. That's funny. as
Yeah,
hell.
but we did go to Dollywood, and I got to take my nephew Cole on his first roller coasters, and it was the same. His first roller coaster was the first roller coaster that I ever went on.
The Super Brazier.
Thunder. Dollywood has very little Dolly Parton. I mean, which is probably for the best because it's like how much Dolly Parton could you put into an amusement park? It's very much like a celebration of the South, like the good things about the South. But like overall, it's like a fairly generic park with like hints of Dollywood here and there.
Well, it's an amusement park, right?
It's an amusement park that's probably on the quality of a Knott's Berry Farm.
Right. Okay.
So there's like 4 good roller coasters. And I mean good. Like there's three or four that are like Six Flags grade roller coasters. And then there's a bunch of like, little kids rides and games and stuff like that. And like country music is like being performed. But, it was real busy. So, the lines for everything was really long. The parking was like insane. Like, it was real busy.
Yeah.
But we did get to go on 3 roller coasters, which was very nice. And I took my nephew, who had never been on a roller coaster. In the morning, we did the Alpine slide. So the one where it's a single cart, on a track, and you have the brakes. So that was the first thing.
Did he sit in front of you, or did you have separate carts?
No, he's 15.
Oh, I thought he was like 7.
No, I know. The way I said it made it sound like he was, but he was like 15 and he'd never been on a roller coaster.
Okay.
And he wasn't like afraid per se, but he was just kind of like a lot of 15-year-olds, whatever. Like, but I was like, took him on the Alpine slide. I was like, this is going to be cool. And then it was. And he was like, oh, that was awesome. I was like, okay, now we're going to go do real roller coasters. And I took him on Thunderhead, which is the fast wooden coaster that they have. That's always a good starter, the wooden coaster. It's an excellent roller coaster, by the way. It is really fast. It has a lot of 0G. Got him into that. And then I was like, all right, you can now handle real roller coasters. And we went on the Wild Eagle, which I'll go up. There it is. Go up, 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 up.
Oh, yeah.
The Wild Eagle is the one on the right.
Oh, my God. It's shaped like a
It's shaped like a
eagle.
bird. It's shaped like birds.
And you are sitting on the wings.
It is extremely America. You are on the wings, but it's a triple inverted whatever.
Cool. And
it's a great.
The chairs rotate.
The chairs do not rotate.
Okay.
It's not as good as X2.
Okay.
X2 is like this at Six Flags, but the chairs rotate.
It still looks like a good time.
But still, to go from 0 to Alpine coaster to wooden coaster to this in one day, now. Cole is a roller coaster enthusiast, and we're talking about now it's the nuances of front of train, back of train, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, right. Do you want the whip, or do you want to be the first person to feel the drop?
Right.
Yeah.
So that was a good day. And actually, one guy we made friends with in the line gave us his extra like fast pass, which allowed us to do 3 roller coasters in that day instead of 1 because we got to cut some lines.
Oh yeah, because the lines are so big.
Super big.
Hour.
Yeah.
Like an hour.
I mean, the Black Friday. We went on Black Friday. So it was like for most people we're waiting an hour to 2 hours to go on a 2.5 minute ride. That's
like a date.
It's not. It's not good.
It's not a good ratio.
Yeah.
Bill Burr has a very good bit.
It's like taking that limo ride out from Vegas to Pahrump at 3 a.m.
And afterwards, like, man, I don't know if I want to do that anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was interesting and very southern.
Did you see the hermit crab store?
Yeah.
My favorite thing in Pigeon Forge,
saw the
free hermit crab with purchase of home.
Yeah. We went to a lot of stores. It's surprisingly unwalkable, that place. Considering it's like one street of like business after business after business after business, it's like really bad to walk.
Is there a sidewalk? I forget.
There's a crappy sidewalk, but it's right next to like a 3 or 4 lane divided highway each way. There's like no crosswalks. So getting across, the crosswalks are about every half mile. So getting across the street is really, really difficult. I was surprised at how unwalkable it was. And also, I have to say this. There are people, when I talk about trucks being too big, and people are like, well, that's just in L.A. When you come somewhere else, the parking spaces are bigger. Horse fucking shit. The parking spaces at Dollywood and at these fucking stores and at these fucking restaurants are the same size they are everywhere else. And the trucks are jammed in there. They can barely fucking fit. Everyone's driving a Super Duty. They're all crazy long. They're sticking out into the aisles. They make it real hard to maneuver. Mm-hmm. And then every like fourth one, because they're taking like too much space, every like fourth truck is just halfway into the next space because it's like an extra 6 inches, an extra 6 inches.
And then domino effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're just taking up like crazy space. And the spots are not bigger. They are exactly the same fucking size.
I almost couldn't get out of the the Knoxville airport with Sam's X3 because I had a truck behind me and in front of me.
Right.
The truck in front of me had gone over into my spot by like 3 feet.
Right.
So I had to ask Austin Powers it to get out of there.
Right.
Yeah.
And this happened. So at Dollywood, the walkway around the parking lot, if you park in like lot D, and you have to walk to the park. You could take the tram, but like the walkway goes around the edge of the park. But all these enormous trucks park their overhangs into the walkway. They back in,
right,
and then there's like a huge trailer hitch that's just waiting to just
destroy
your shins.
Oh man,
it was bad. But yeah, all those people saying the parking spots are different size, fucking horse shit. They're all the same size. So, oh yeah, see that? Look, see Mill Creek, right? So those houses right there, right? That's the houses we stayed at.
Oh, you were right there.
That's on a bluff.
You're across
above
the street
Pigeon
from
Forge.
Dollywood Lane. All right.
Yeah, and we were at Dolly Parton's Stampede. That's where we had our Thanksgiving dinner. Which I got to tell you about Dolly Parton's. I sent you a picture of it.
You did?
Didn't I? Didn't I send you a picture of it?
Let me check.
Dolly Parton's Stampede. Somebody went, okay, here's what we're going to do. It's medieval times.
Oh, right. Yes.
But with country music and some Jesus. That's what this is. So you go into this like arena, and it's on the outside looks like a big barn, but on the inside it looks straight up like a medieval times. Right? There's the it's like it's
you sent me the arena looks it's the same shape, it's the same benches,
it's the same
architecture for sure.
And no one in my family had ever been to a medieval times, so the whole time I'm just going, everything about this is medieval times, and they're like,
are you a time traveler?
They're like,
what
I
are
don't
you talking about?
I don't get it, and I'm like, no, like none. I'm like, none of you guys, and they're like. They're looking at me like I'm weird because I've been to a medieval times before. But they set it up like it was going to be like a riding competition, but then it was like all Jesus and like weird sideshow comedy. They had like a modern like Larry the Cable Guy type redneck character coming in to like do filler. And you know, the same thing as medieval times. You eat the chicken with your bare hands. Yeah. It's like the whole the chicken and the soup with the drinky bowl. And I was like, they literally
white labeled.
They white labeled the country. But that was our Thanksgiving dinner, was this show.
The times I've been to medieval times, last time was with you for your birthday in like
my 25th birthday. My 25th birthday. Yeah, it was awesome.
The chicken's delicious.
The chicken was good.
Super solid.
Listen, they can rotisserie. They do 6 shows a day at this place.
Holy shit.
So they're doing 1,500 rotisserie chickens times 6, and each one is served simultaneously.
Oh, each chicken.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, like all those people in the stadium.
Talk about meal timing.
They get a chicken at the same time. A whole fucking it's a little Cornish game hen chicken. But they're doing like 8,000 chickens a day at this fucking place.
They're doing 6. That's
and their ability to serve food at like that was actually pretty decent. I was very impressed. Their bar service, I was less impressed.
We get the cornbread. Yeah, it's a pretty tasty
meal.
Yeah,
you do a biscuit. Yeah. You do the bowl of soup that's also kind of gravy like. You do the thing, and then there was a whole Jesus thing in the middle that is not necessary at all.
Well, that's when you could go wait in line for the bar.
Well, the best thing about it, it's pretty loud, the show, and people are eating and stuff, and so you can just have like full volume conversations with people, with your neighbors, and it like doesn't matter. So like that part is nice. And
covered wagons. There's a lot happening.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There was one black person in the show, black cowboy. Shout out to him. Then there was the nativity scene where they have camels, right?
Okay.
And white people playing brown people, of course, as you do, riding the camels, dressed in fucking Arabian night shit, not Jesus time shit. They're dressed in fucking
Amazon.com.
Arabian night shit. They did not go to Historical Emporium and buy accurate costumes.
And then what is this? There's another concert in the middle.
That's the saloon. So that place didn't have the tables in it when I was there, but that's where you get your drinks before you go into the show. I'm not sure what show they have where they're doing that, but that band was not performing in there at that time.
Got it.
But oh yes, this was it was going off. It was it was interesting. Yeah. So
cool. All right. Was it fun? I'm sure it was fun.
I mean, it was funny. It was fun now that it's over.
Oh, what is that called? Third tier fun?
Well, Hannah's family always says fun is best when it's over. And so like it's funny now that we like did it, but like the number of regulars and like repeat customers that they had here who knew the flow of the show was astronomically high.
Wow.
People had like their favorite characters. I mean, the level of people were real into this in a way that I can't comprehend.
Well, it's like they've seen the same play twice. I guess. All right.
I mean, it's got to be. It's probably a Christmas tradition for these folks.
I'm sure.
Thanksgiving tradition.
Because around here, there's not a lot until you drive all the way to Nashville. I mean, there's no amusement park thing, right? So this is
In Pigeon Forge?
Well, Pigeon Forge is this magnet of entertainment for young people and
Oh,
children.
yeah.
There's everything you could imagine, so it brings everyone in from the surrounding area.
Yes.
I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's like.
Did you try a go-kart track?
We saw the go-kart tracks, and there's like they're multi-levels.
Yeah, they look like a parking garage, and
Yeah.
they're training kids to navigate parking garage swirls.
I was interested until I saw the speed of the go-karts, and then I was no. It was like for 6-year-olds. I was like, if they had one of these, just one that had like even like okay go-karts, I'd be super about it. But we did hit the Alpine slides, and those are fun. And we made friends with some goats because there's a place called Goats on the Roof where there are actual goats on the roof.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, there's goats on the roof. And goats on the chilling.
Goating?
Goating.
What's under the roof?
And you feed a store where you buy goat adjacent merchandise and Trump bumper stickers. And a lot of bumper stickers implying that both Jesus is the Lord and also it's okay for me to murder you with my gun if you somehow offend me in the slightest. There's a real dichotomy about this place. Murder is okay if you annoy me. Then I'm allowed. That's what Jesus said.
Well, the 11th commandment is stand your ground.
Thou shalt stand your ground.
ground.
Thou shalt stand your ground. And we went to the
sling
world's
9 arrows.
largest knife and gun store. 108,000 square feet of knives and guns. I don't know how you buy a knife in this place. There's a gluttony of choice where it's just never ending. The amount of knives. I almost bought a stiletto. They're legal there.
Whoa, they are?
They are. That I know. That was exactly. It was like, wait, what? Can I buy something that's illegal at home here? I didn't.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
You can't carry it on. That's for
No.
damn sure.
No. You can't. You can check it. You could get away with checking it, but I played with some stilettos, and then I determined that this was not a good use of my $400.
Oh, no. Not
Stilettos
for
are
$4.
expensive.
Yeah.
The stilettos were by far the most expensive knives they had.
Jesus.
Like a 5-inch stiletto is approximately the same. And if you don't know what a stiletto is, it's the knife that comes out. It's a switchblade that's spring loaded in and out, and it comes out from the end.
Yeah, it comes
It's a real
straight
movie
out.
knife. Yeah.
They're super cool.
They're super cool. And they're about the same price as like 4-foot Braveheart swords. Guys, we got to take a quick break from the action for Prize Picks. It's the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you versus the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. With the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, LeBron James and Travis Kelce at a 10.5 combo of 3 points made plus receptions. Want to play alongside some of Prize Picks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. This week on Prize Picks, I'm selecting Steph Curry for more than 29 points and Nikola Jokic for more than 10 rebounds, Anthony Davis for more than 2 blocks, and Damian Lillard for more than 4 3-pointers made. Prize Picks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. It's fast, it's fun, it's easy, and even if you're like me and you don't know anything about sports, you still got a good shot at getting that loot. So go to prizepicks.com/tire and use code TIRE for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/tire and use code TIRE for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy, and thank you for sponsoring this week's podcast. Like a very nice folding knife, hunting knife with $65, $70.
Yeah.
That'll get you a great one. Then they got some artsy ones, maybe 100, maybe 150 for and then you get like a giant fucking machete, that might be like 200. A good stiletto was like $300 to $500. They're very expensive. Yeah. Well, then we went downstairs to the gun store.
Oh my God.
And I mean, assault weapons are crazy cheap.
Yeah.
Crazy cheap.
Yeah, AR stuff is like
And I
$350.
overheard some conversations. I heard over a conversation between a 16-year-old and his mother. He was like, you'd have to be a real idiot to buy that gun. It only holds 7 shots. You could buy this, this is all the, just schooling his mom on semi-automatic weapons. And I was like, oh boy. But real cheap.
What if a herd of deer attacks you?
Real cheap.
There's a lot of deer.
Fortunately, he's wearing body armor, and he has the power of the Lord. So it was pretty intense. Porsche.
Did you go through a knife phase? There was an age where I wanted all the knives. I had pocket knives.
Yeah.
I was looking at them in the magazines. I just, for whatever reason,
it never got that
obsessed.
out. I had a Zippo phase. I had about 30, 40 Zippo lighters.
Before you started smoking cigarettes or after?
Before. You don't want to use a Zippo to smoke. It's like
or to do much.
That lighter fluid is
runs out.
That's nasty.
Drips in your pocket.
Yeah, and it tastes gross. Yeah,
Oh,
you don't.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't really want to use a Zippo for smoking.
Wouldn't want to ruin the flavor of a cigarette with butane.
You know what? You fucking joke, but I used to love the taste of cigarettes.
I know. Clearly, a lot of people do.
Yeah. No, but I just, that flicking, I mean, for me, that might as well have been the butterfly knife, was the
100%.
flicking of the Zippo.
Yeah, and you learn the tricks.
Yeah, I could do all the tricks.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of Zippos there too. Almost bought one, didn't. No, I didn't.
Bought a Zippo.
I almost did, but the ones they had were kind of like hokey. They didn't have like a one I really liked.
Okay.
But Pigeon Forge is that I would go to Pigeon Forge in the off season on like a Tuesday. Like, don't go there in the busiest time, because if you get into the stuff they have without the headaches, it's a fun novelty. But to wait hours for stuff and then is
Well,
not.
Sarah and I went. We were in Tennessee 3 weeks ago. Not a holiday. And we drove through Pigeon Forge in Gatlinburg on a Sunday. In Gatlinburg, we went to the
popping off.
We went to the, what's it called, aquarium, and it was busy.
Yeah.
It was real busy.
Gatlinburg's cute too, but the
More walkable.
traffic there was insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Porsche gave me the new Cayenne S to use for the week. I put a review up on Instagram this morning. Fucking Instagram is really hosing me, by the way. You know that thing they were doing for a while where they would flip the first page of your carousel post, flip the first image upside down?
No.
They were doing this for a while. If you posted from desktop, it was flipping the first image upside down.
Oh, weird.
It wouldn't show it on your pre-post, and then it would go live and it'd be upside down, and it was driving me insane. And I had to take down so many posts and put them back up. So I found out the thing to do is whatever your first image is, open it, spin it all the way around, and then resave it, and that wouldn't do it.
Oh boy.
So today it just did the first time it's ever done it. Photos 3 and 4 are upside down, which is never done before. First time it's ever done it, and I didn't realize it until I was out of the house already, so I couldn't fix it. And you can't fix it on your phone because I can't copy the text from Instagram app.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's very annoying.
Yeah, you can't. You have to copy it from the computer and redo the whole thing.
That's really annoying.
So I posted a little written review on my Instagram. You can go see that. I did not make a video because it was vacation, but. The biggest item about this Cayenne S is that the V8 is back. The S was a twin turbo 6 for a while. It's now a twin turbo 8. It makes 468 horsepower and 442 torque, which is more than the Cayenne Turbo made first gen up until 2013. So it's more power than the turbo, and with the 8-speed gearbox, it accelerates better than the turbo did from that period. This thing was expensive. It doesn't look like it because it's white with a black interior, but this thing had $26,000 of options on it.
Leather package, stereo
extended
package.
leather,
Tech
pack,
right.
premium pack, panoramic roof, air suspension.
So it had nice stuff, but wrong color.
Those wheels are $3,500.
Why?
I don't know. They look like the base wheels to me.
They do. A lot of sidewall, too,
Well,
which I like.
I like a lot of sidewall, but those don't look like $3,500 wheels.
No, they
look like regular ass wheels.
Yeah.
Like if you told me those were the base wheels, I'd be like, okay, those are the base wheels.
Yeah.
They are nice. I do like how they look, but $3,500, I think this. I mean, it drives great. It has the best steering of any SUV. It's fast. When you start it up, it's got a nice cold start. V8 rumble and all that shit. There's a lot of stuff. The stuff keeps moving into the touchscreen, and I don't love that. They've only got one volume knob now. The second scrolly knob from last gen is gone.
Wait, they had two for a while? I forget.
They usually had a volume knob
Yeah.
and then a scrolly wheel to go through radio stations. Now there's only one knob, and you have to swipe through stuff in the screen.
Oh, yeah.
I don't love that. But CarPlay worked really, really good. Wireless CarPlay worked flawlessly. My in-laws and everyone that I carted around 5 fucking people in this thing every time we went anywhere, and they loved the back seat. Plenty of room, plenty of luggage space, super comfy. Air suspension's really good. It adjusts height really fast. Sport mode is not too stiff, at least if the roads are somewhat decent. And you got to use sport mode a lot because normal mode is really, really early on the upshifts. You'll be in 7th at 30 miles an hour. And also, this is like fucked up. The start-stop on this thing, which you can turn off through the touchscreen, but that's only for that drive cycle. You have to do it every time. The start-stop will shut the car off before you come to a stop.
Oh, weird.
Which has got to be their last-ditch effort to try and save some fuel on this car. But like, when you're coming to a stop, when you hit 5, it shuts off. But it locks the steering.
No.
Yeah. You can't.
It's EPS though. It locks the steering.
It locks the steering.
That is terrible. So if you're making a left.
So if you're making a last minute, you can't make a last minute move without taking your foot off the brake and waiting for it to start again. Which it's not as fast as like some start stops where it's like the 48 volt mild hybrid, like the Defender actually. It comes on like instantly. Or even the Porsche hybrid. Mm-hmm. It comes on instantly. This one, there's a delay. And so...
What if you're parallel parking?
Dude, it happened a couple times in really stupid places.
Because you're on the brake a lot of times in parking where you're not coming to a stop, you're just slowing or inching. Weird and bad. Yeah.
It's one of the only things of any modern Porsche where I've ever driven go, this is actually bad.
Wow, they need to OTA
like
that.
They don't it's so rare that I drive a modern Porsche and I go, how did this get through? Mm-hmm. Because it caused problems a few times.
Yeah.
And it just turns off and you're like, why? I still need to steer.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in stop and go traffic, we were in stop and go traffic last night coming back from Palm Springs for a little bit, and you could come to a stop, but then you might need to change lanes and stop and go, so you have to come off the thing. You have to learn to drive the car, which seems annoying sometimes.
There's all kinds of reasons that you might need to steer between 5 and 0. So many reasons. And to not be able to steer unless the engine's running, and then to have to take your foot off the brake and wait for it's like there's a lot of delays happening there. So like that's like bad. Now if you turn off the stop start, fine. If you put it in sport mode, stop start's deactivated, fine. But like that's bad.
Yeah.
So I really didn't like that. And I may sound like I'm like dwelling on it a lot, but like it's the default setting of the car. Someone said that you can program the diamond button on the steering wheel to deactivate start, stop, so you don't have to go into the touchscreen. So, okay, you can turn in that. There's a multi-function button on the steering wheel that you could make that, do that. But, okay, cool. But I've just never seen one that stops the car while you're still moving.
I think you have it right. It's a last ditch effort because if they've looked at your drive pattern, they go, well, most of the time slowing down from 5 to 0, you're stopping.
Yeah.
Just cut it a little earlier. We save another 1% or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
And after all that, I drove 880 miles. and I got 19 miles per gallon. So it's not great. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not like great.
Not when gas is $6. Well, how much was gas there?
It's high threes, low fours. It has to run 93. Of
course.
You can't run regular in this car.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, Dad, send me a photo of your cumulative efficiency. My dad's hybrid. He plugs it in every night, and it's set to use battery first. So it's not on regular hybrid mode. It uses the 35 miles of battery, and then the engine comes on. Mm-hmm. It makes basically the same torque as this, less power. It's actually about 100 less horsepower, but the torque is more important with an SUV. The number of times I went flat in this vehicle in over a week, I could count on one hand.
And I'd say it was always just for fun to do it, probably.
Yeah, once I made a pass on a single lane, but like torque is much more important than horsepower in an SUV. And he got over his 4,500 miles that he's put on his car. He's getting 50 miles per gallon cumulative.
Wow.
So, and like,
wow.
I could have plugged this into there was an outlet. Like if I had a 110 charger, I could have plugged this in if it was a hybrid. Like I could have done that, and I would have had experienced similar results.
I had a lot of questions at Thanksgiving from family members about EV versus hybrid, and it's amazing how many of them don't know like the benefits of a hybrid, plug-in hybrid advantages. They just they see everything going EV and think that that's the way.
Yeah. But like almost, there's so many things about the Cayenne that are great. But like, dude, this was $122,000. It's an S. Like, I don't perceive a Cayenne S as being $122,000.
Well, what did they used to be? I guess have they?
I don't even perceive it as being over 100. I was shocked that it was over 100. It doesn't. It feels nice. It's a nice car, but it does not feel like a $100,000 plus vehicle.
A 2016. Cayenne S, just Cayenne S4D was original MSRP was 80.
Yeah.
So, but if you add 25 in options, so it's still up 20 in the last 9 years.
I mean, I get it, but my dad's hybrid with PTS and a bunch of other luxury options. Now it doesn't have air suspension, but is the same price as this. It was $124. It gets double the fuel economy and has a $13,000 paint job. You know what I mean? That's what PTS costs.
Right.
So like, unless you're going to go with like a turbo GT, which there's virtually no argument for, but like, all right, fine, you're a lunatic, I get it. Unless you can do that, like, just get the hybrid. Like, don't fuck with any of these other motors. Like, just get the hybrid because it's got the same amount of functional power and double the efficiency.
It's so funny because. The S had the twin turbo V6 for a while, and people missed the V8. Yeah. And now Porsche makes the V8, and there will be some people that will like it. One of my cousins had a GTS for a while; he loved the sound of it, but for actually using it, the V6 with hybrid is the more functional thing.
And there's no doubt that in a vehicle this expensive, the rumble of a V8 does sound more luxurious. Like I understand that like monkey lizard brain thing that we have. Where you go, well, I'm paying all this money, I want the powerful engine. Like I totally get it. But electric drive also is luxurious in its own way, and you're using that most of the time.
Absolutely.
And it's just if you're the lizard brain thing rarely leads you to the S, the middle one. Like.
Well, I think if you want a turbo but can't afford it, you get the S because you like the more exciting sound. Acceleration, is maybe a little bit quicker than the hybrid, but it's more about the experience and all of those other things. And so you go, well, I can't get the GTS, I can't afford the turbo. Yeah. The S is the stepping stone.
This just seemed like a lot of money for the middle one. And it has a big tank. So, like, you've got 450 cruising range on the highway. You could take a long road trip and not have to stop and fuel up all the time. It is a big tank. But to have to run premium, to be getting under 20 miles a gallon, and I found myself not using. And even with my dad, he went from a turbo to a hybrid. And at first he was like, I kind of missed that, you know. And now, like, a couple months later, he's like, He's like, I understand what you were telling me here. I haven't put gas in this thing in a month and a half, and cruising around silently is refined and nice. So like, and he's like, I didn't need the power. It didn't actually do anything for me. I was like, I know.
It's funny. I think my uncle rented a Durango in Palm Springs because I think they have like an Outback and a Highlander at home, and he was like that Hemi's pretty fun. And he goes, didn't they start making that in the 50s? I said, yeah, like basically, the hemispherical combustion chamber is decades old.
Yeah.
But it still worked on his lizard brain a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I like cars that sound good.
Yeah.
And like you start it up, it sounds good. It sounds tough. And it's Porsche's V8. It's a refined, it's a precise sounding engine and all that. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a fine engine. It's just that the power that it makes, I found myself not needing, and the inefficiency of it. It's not just that it's inefficient. It's that with that start-stop thing, I can see it trying so hard to be efficient. Right. with its low RPM upshifts and that start-stop, it's like you're really trying to make this thing so efficient, and like that makes it suck.
This is what it has to do to survive.
Yeah. So, I liked it. Everyone else liked it. It served its purpose. But if you're not gonna get a turbo, get the hybrid. Trust me.
I think if you had a commute that required twisty roads every day, where you could use the rev range and hear it, that would be fun.
Yeah.
But if most people are driving SUVs from a suburb to a job, and most of the time you're just in traffic cruising city stuff, you'll get far more use, and I think you'll enjoy the living experience of the hybrid more.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. Should we? We can't talk about the thing you did last week.
Unfortunately, we cannot.
Not until January. I may have told somebody on a podcast what you were doing, but we can't talk about it.
I think you talked about it on this show.
I think we said you were going to do it.
Because you couldn't do it?
Because I was too fat.
People that listen, they'll know, but I guess I can't talk about the experience.
Well, you didn't die.
I didn't die, which was a concern.
Yeah.
And I also wussed out on telling my parents what I did over the break. I was like, my dad's not going to like this. But
you didn't tell them?
No.
Oh, really?
No,
You're just going to let them read it in the pages of Road and Track?
Yeah, probably. Or let them see the video.
All right.
This is a test to see if they subscribe to the channel.
Well, I got to drive the Vegas F1 track, which
let's talk about that.
Fun. It was really
fun. Slippery? Was it not slippery? Because the race was great.
I didn't watch the race.
Dude, you missed possibly the best race of the season.
Well, I had to come back and interview Swiss Beats here for Road and Track.
I know.
So I had to do that, which is why I didn't leave because I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
It was because I had a previous commitment and driving the track was more important to me than watching the race.
Fair.
But I tried to watch the race, and then it was like, buy this $60 ESPN package.
I have an F1 thing.
Nah.
Like, just use my phone one day. Watch the race in 30 one day here. It's 30 minutes, and you can just get the gist.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I know what happened in the race, but so yeah. I mean, I got to Vegas. I woke up at 5 a.m. in L.A. I sold my Honda Monkey at 6 a.m. to a guy who came here to the shop, gave me cash, took the bike, and then I got in the car at 6:15 a.m. in a DBX 707 and drove to Vegas. I arrived to the Encore at 10:15 a.m. and it was like real quiet. And I forgot for a minute that I was in Vegas because like, oh God, this race is going to be not good. There's like nobody here. There's like nothing going on. And I realized like everyone's asleep at 10:15 a.m. in Vegas. And I'd read about the manhole cover bullshit and all that. And so, I chilled and got some work done and whatever. And they took us over to the track at like, I don't know, 6 p.m. maybe. And so first we hung out, we ate some dinner in the Aston Martin like VIP section. Shout out to them, their food was pretty good. It would have been the perfect place to get fucking super wasted, and I couldn't. So I had a cold brew at 8:40 p.m. because my drive time was 1:15 a.m.
Yeah,
that's
late.
That's the drive time, and so I got First, I got a hot lap with Darren Turner. And people probably saw like celebrities and shit and other VIPs posting content about getting hot laps. Like basically every OEM that was like Mercedes, Ferrari, Ford actually, and Aston Martin got to like have some people get ride-alongs on the track.
Okay.
And so like Dax and Kristen Bell were there, and like I saw like Shaun White and his like model girlfriend Nina Dobrev, who was like smoke show. She was ridiculously hot. And Martin Brundle and Danica Patrick were doing a TV spot there, and all the celebrities. I saw Shaq at the race. They were all there getting like ride-alongs, and so we each got a ride-along with Darren Turner, which was great because I wanted to see the track in person, and it was definitely different from the sim. The basic layout of the track was the same, but the walls were closer in. The whole track was narrower. The walls were closer in.
Sims are really hard for perspective.
Well, this sim, it's one thing if it's Road Atlanta and they map out the track as it exists, okay. But the Vegas sim was done with the knowledge of the layout and with construction photos. But
they couldn't laser scan the track.
So
they made the walls where they thought,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I knew it wasn't going to be exact. But like doing the sim did help. But like I taught myself visual cues on the sim of like where to turn in, where to hit the brakes, where to do this. And all of that shit was different. And the walls all had colored advertising on them. So they all looked totally different.
So much advertising.
Yeah. And so I went on this hot lap with Darren, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in fucking trouble. None of this looks the same. Like the turn-in points and the braking points, it all looks different. I was like, all right. Now, fortunately, when we went after the hot lap, we got in the Aston with Darren and slowly drove the track to the other side. And that was when it was like, okay, here's this turn-in point. Brake at this. Do this. And that like 15-mile-an-hour drive was like, oh, okay. Now at least I know.
It was like a track walk. That's why walking the track is so important.
Yeah. And so we got to do that. And then we went back to set up cameras, and I had 5 GoPros, and my audio gear. And I had a new audio recorder that I had never used before, which fucking Shmee was there, and he was like, are you doing this like one take style? And I was like, yeah. He's like, you're fucking nuts, dude, for trying to do this at speed with all these cameras. But he had an assistant. I was like by myself, and I'm trying to like fumble with the audio, and he's like, I'm like, oh, God damn it. And he's like, what? I'm like, new audio. He's like, you're using a new audio recorder on
insane.
This?
Untested?
He's like,
you didn't test it on the drive over, did you?
No, I tested it at my house. Okay. I did not test on the drive over.
All right, you tested it though.
It's a really nice, shout out to Zoom. It's the Zoom F3. It's awesome. But and it worked great. But he was like, you're out of your mind. I can't believe you're doing that with untested gear in this type of situation. But like, all right. And actually, props to him. After we did our drives, me and the Aston Martin PR people and Darren Turner were like, we're going to the fucking bar. We're like, we're going to rack up a tab on Aston Martin. They were so happy I didn't stuff this thing into a wall.
Right.
They're like, we're getting drunk. And fucking Shmee went back to his hotel room and edited video at 2:30 in the morning.
Wow.
So shout out to him for doing that. The work ethic is real. But
did you go to sleep, or you didn't drive home after?
No, I didn't. Yeah, okay. I went to sleep at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I woke up at 9:30 and drove home. But so you know, then you know they had us set up all our gear and wait sort of on the outside of turn 12, not in the main paddock. We did not drive the Aston Martins into like the F1 paddock. We waited, and then at 1:09. They're like, okay, the qualifying's over, the track is clear. I felt so bad. All these marshals had to stay for us. and then we drive back. And we drove down the main straight to start finish. And I was, again, so happy because I got another shot at looking at the breaking point for that long straight because it was not clear. And the breaking point I used in the video game, you literally couldn't see anymore.
And how long was this? It's 1.7? It's a really long straightaway.
It's over a mile.
Yeah. Then there's a small hump before the braking. Well, in F1, there's before the braking zone. But watching them come in, it just looked gnarly, and then it's like 110, 120
I had
corner.
to brake from 173 to 45, and you can see in my video at 9 minutes and 20 seconds, sparks are flying out of the brakes. Like you can see it in the video. I didn't know.
Brake dust is
I didn't even
igniting.
know it was there when I put that shot in. Someone found it later, but yeah, the sparks are literally flying out of the brakes. So I got a warm-up, a flyer, and a cool-down, and I didn't do the cool-down. I did a warm-up and a flyer and a half, and then slowed down for half a mile before. The brakes were literally on fire when I came back into the pits. They're probably going to have to change those brakes. But other than being slippery, so if you were on the line, it was fine. Mm-hmm. And I started with ice-cold tires, ice-cold brakes.
45 degrees outside.
It was like high 40s. Yeah. So I go to start, and you can see it in the video. I go to start, and I'm at like 40 miles an hour. And the first corner, I'm just kind of like cruising it, but I'm not on the F1 line. And at 40, I get massive oversteer. And I'm like, oh, God, this is going to be a disaster. And then I'm like, all right, just work your way up and run the F1 line. Make sure you stay on the line. And once I got like a half a lap of heat in the tires, and once I hit the brakes hard at the first long straightaway, which, by the way, there's the long straight, but then there's the short straight where I was hitting over 140 on the short straight, which brakes for a 35 mile an hour right-hand corner. So that's sector 1 on that photo. I hit 140 on that straight.
Whoa.
And you can't see that right turn at the end of it until you're about 50 yards from it.
Jesus.
And so
90-degree right.
Yeah, with a really tight outside wall. And so
that wall caused Piastri some problems, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so once I got some heat into the tires, then it was fine. But the only thing the simulator was totally spot on about was the speed I hit on the front straight. It was exactly the same as I saw on the sim. But on the sim, I was also able to take the kink in front of start finish almost flat. No, top right. That kink in the sim, I could take it almost flat. In real life, fuck no. In real life, it's a proper break there.
Oh, did you come into it and realize very quickly?
No,
you had to
Darren
brake?
said, because we both had tried the sim, and Darren went out there first. We talked about this before.
Oh, good.
And he went out a couple hours, and he was like, listen, you can't take that flat. He was like, it's not, you'll die. He's like, you'll actually die. The Formula One cars were taking that in qualifying at 200 miles an hour.
Wild.
I took it at about $107.
They're amazing.
And the S curve on the left side of the image, sector 2, that section in between right there in qualifying, not in the race, but in qualifying, Max hit 197 there, which I was doing that in like the high 90s, maybe 100 for a second. Yeah. It was nuts. But the F1 cars were only seeing about 215 on the straight. I think they're gear limited.
They might be, but you could watch them when even with DRS out. I mean, there's some little variances, but even with DRS activated, they would hit a wall at like 217.
Yeah.
And then they're all throwing sparks off the bottom.
Yeah.
That might be the limiting when they're hitting the plate on the bottom. That slows them down.
Oh, that may,
and,
maybe that's
they
it.
just get pressed into the ground.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
all of them were just throwing sparks from those plates.
Yeah. But that straightaway, I mean, if you've ever walked the strip in Vegas, or you've driven it, in the speed of regular traffic, which is slow there, but I've walked the length of the strip before, and those buildings, they fuck you up with the scale. They're huge. It takes 15 or 20 minutes to pass. Maybe not 15 minutes, 10 minutes or so to walk past like the Bellagio.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
That's cool.
It's a casino
Super cool.
every second or two. And they're just and the scale of it is crazy. You don't really realize how far you've gone. At one point I went, the Paddock Club, which actually in the photo you've got up there, the Paddock Club is right where that DRS section zone 1 is at the top, the screen sign. So on the inside of that hairpin, on the other side, right there, on the inside of it, that's where like the VIP clubs were, from the start finish line to that corner. And so I went on the very top, which was like a 6 or 7 story building. This big fucking thing they built. And you could see like the casinos that were on the straightaway, like the top of them, and they're fucking so far away. Like you couldn't. It's hard to put together how big that track is, because when you're driving it fast. It just, you don't think about how much ground you're covering, and so like
I mean, look at the amount of stuff in between the straights. There's a hotel, there's the huge Ferris wheel, a giant parking lot that's, probably half a mile by half a mile.
But like those casino properties are like a quarter of a mile across each one.
Walking the strip sucks because it takes forever.
It takes a long, long time. And so to stand in one corner of the track and like I could like look at the Encore, which is all the way at the bottom left.
Because you were here.
I was there, and I could look at the Encore, which is at the bottom left, which is where I was staying. And it was like, it was so far away. And it just, you don't, when a normal racetrack, it goes through the woods, whatever, there's trees. It's not like you can see the other side of it.
It's rare. I mean, Laguna Seca, if you're at the top by Corkscrew, you can see the start finish, and it's far away. It's not. I don't think it's this far away. But the speeds are so high on this; they're covering a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Because what was the lap times?
I don't know what my lap time was. You could probably get it from the video, but I didn't look.
So F1 drivers were doing 135.
Yeah.
Oscar Piastri fastest.
I think I was like 235.
But so 135 in an F1 car, you're covering a lot of ground.
Yeah.
That's a pretty long amount of time.
Yeah.
Because I think Sao Paulo was like 58 or something. So it's 50% longer.
But amazing experience. I'm glad I didn't fuck it up. I can't. It was one of the highest pressure situations I've ever driven a car in my whole life, because it was right after qualifying. So there's still like thousands of people around.
Right.
Like there's people everywhere. The F1 cameramen are there. I got to use their B-roll, which was
cool.
rad. But my car looks so slow. I thought that was helicopter. It's not. It's the roof of the Bellagio.
Oh, okay.
But my car looks so slow after those guys are, panning with the F1 cars. But it was just like, I could tell the Aston Martin PR people, who are so nice, were just like, please don't fuck this up. Like we had to do a lot to like let you guys do this. Like, please don't fucking break the car or crash into something.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of places where that could happen. It's street circuits are really hard. They're really challenging because there's no room for error. There's no such thing as like dropping a wheel in the dirt. Like you're hitting a wall.
Yeah.
And the walls were all tighter than the sim, particularly in a couple places that made it very challenging. And I'm trying to narrate. I'm trying to like make sure my audio is going and all my cameras are going. And I'm just acutely aware of the fact that like I have to learn this track, look like I'm going fast, put up an effort that makes the whole thing worthwhile. All my cameras are rolling. I'm in the right drive mode. Is this car going to have grip? Are the brakes going to hold up? And, am I going to fuck this up in front of like an audience, and cause problems for, hit the wall or something, or do something that could fuck up the race somehow.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure.
I mean, the good thing is that the track has such long straightaways where even if you had gone 50 miles per hour slower than you went, it's still a big speed. You're over 150. But I totally understand. That is a lot of pressure when you're managing that many systems. That's really scary.
There's a lot going on at once. And a lot of my like braking and turn-in points were like Vegas infrastructure that's kind of covered up. Like the braking point at the end of the front straight is a traffic light that is being covered up by black canvas. So it's like, look for this bright thing and then look up at the traffic light gantry.
Watching the race, there are so many advertising screens in Vegas that were on, and you're seeing like wind banners and then the Sphere's doing its thing, and there's screens advertising whatever the hell they're doing. I was thinking about the drivers. It must be kind of a challenge for their eyes. I know they light the track aggressively.
Yeah.
But there's so many different things just happening on every turn.
I would say it's easy to ignore all those.
Oh, okay.
Even in an SUV, which is higher, I didn't see, that was actually one of the challenges for the sim versus reality. In reality, I was using things that were outside the wall. In the sim, I was using things outside the walls, like brake at the Jumbotron for the Cosmo Hotel. But in the real world, I couldn't even see that through the fence. So I had to find new things to look for. So like on the front straight, it was like when the left wall, when the ads turn bright green, that's when you start looking up, and then you see one traffic light gantry and then the second one. And you got to hit your brakes at the second traffic light gantry. And then like before the kink in front of start finish, you'd bend it, you'd look up, and when you could read, Koval is the name of one of the streets. When you could read the sign that says Koval, you brake, and when you get to the Koval sign, you turn in. Like, the turn-in mark point isn't something that's on the track. It's like Vegas shit that's like half covered up.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
But I actually liked it was such a, it was an amazing thing to do, but like, at the end of lap 3, I was like, God damn, I need 10 more. Like, I just need
10 more to get it.
I need 10 more because, like, by the third one, I was like, now I can stop thinking about where to place the car, and like I can think about where to go faster, and like just I actually enjoyed driving the track very much. I mean, I know Max Verstappen was kind of like, yeah, it's not my favorite, whatever, but like he doesn't like anything. But like I found it to be, for a track that has no elevation, normally that's what I look for in a track.
Yeah.
For a flat track, I thought it was as fun as any track I've driven.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It made for great racing, for sure.
Yeah. So I hear.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I was one of those people who we saw the layout and we went, okay, is this going to be good? And is it mostly straights with these sharp turns? So will that, one, lead to good racing and passing?
Yeah.
And then two, would it be fun to actually drive? And it's all speculative until someone actually puts wheels on the ground.
Yeah.
So it seemed like it worked great for you. It worked good for the drivers. It worked good for the spectators.
Yeah.
It's pretty successful.
It was fun. I think I would have liked to find a way to pre-warm my tires a little bit. Tire warmers, or maybe drop the pressures a little bit because they were a little high. But I do love the DBX. I mean, the DBX 707, people don't give it enough credit. That is an athletic machine. It really is. I mean, to go 173 miles an hour on the Vegas Strip in a stock SUV is pretty fucking, and then make a 45 mile an hour corner.
It's a really good truck.
Yeah. It steers and stops and goes and rides really well, and it was nice to drive to Vegas and back also. Like that was very enjoyable and very comfortable. The MMI is outdated. Next year they're going to put a new one in.
Oh, that'll be nice.
The facelift will have the new DB12
This has the old Mercedes looking stuff, right?
Yeah, the new system that the DB12 has is better. It's proprietary. But it was rad, and so
what a rad thing to do.
Yeah, it was
dope.
really, really cool. Definitely worth the drive to Vegas and back for the 9.5 minutes I got on the racetrack.
I mean, we talk a lot about the travel to driving ratio, but I think this is the quality of the driving is at an 11 out of 10.
Yeah. Here's one. In December, I'm going to Finland. I'm driving the electric Cayman race car and the GT4 RS Club Sport race car on the ice track in Finland.
That's awesome.
It's going to be awesome. I am super stoked. It's 4 flights to get there.
Yeah.
It's 4.
I bet that last flight's small.
4 flights.
I bet that last
the last one is small.
It's like a bush plane that lands on the ice.
But it's going to take me like 40 hours
to
get there and 40 hours to get back. I hope there's enough seat time, because that's the one where it's like, dude, I just did this thing and I have to because it's cold and because it's racing in race cars, I have to bring
big suitcase,
full camera gear, full racing gear, full cold weather gear, and it's 4 flights, dude.
Yeah.
The odds of one of the things I need not making it there are so high.
Well, I think
I need all those things.
I think if you got there, they would probably have extra jackets, so you
Right,
wouldn't
right.
be-
No,
you
so-
wouldn't die.
right.
But the other things are important.
I'm carrying
Yeah.
the cameras,
Yeah.
and I'm going to carry a change of clothes. I can't carry my helmet,
Right.
so I can't carry any of my racing gear, and I can't carry any of my cold weather gear. None
Yeah.
of it will come on the plane.
You got to carry the things that are irreplaceable.
Yeah.
And then you might have to borrow some sweaty stuff. if your helmet doesn't make it, you're going to borrow someone's helmet.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So I mean, but that's a risky endeavor.
Yeah. That's
Right?
cool though. That'll be
Yeah,
super fun.
that'll be super
Yeah.
fun. But like, we'll see what the travel time to drive time ratio is. It might be a new record because it's race cars, and that's always a short time.
That's true, but then maybe you have a lot of time in an electric Cayman.
I also hope that the electric Cayman has a round steering wheel and not a yoke. The one I saw had a yoke because it was a race car. But if you're on the ice track, that's a ton of opposite lock and stuff like that. So I hope they put a round steering wheel on it.
I bet they will. I think they've seen Porsche's smart. I mean,
Yeah.
their steering wheels are great. It's them and McLaren. I can't tell which one I like more, but they know that
They're
everyone likes
both
them.
circles without a lot of fuss.
They are. I've realized that McLaren has like a crease on the part
Yes.
facing you. It creases, so your
Yeah.
thumb can kind of get on the indent all the way around it, which I like. But either way, I don't think Porsche is going to get rid of the round wheel.
Well, the race cars sometimes have yokes.
But then they probably have a quicker steering ratio, or they just know that the
no, they're
drivers
just
are never
they're just race
doing
cars.
lock to
Yeah,
lock.
they're just race cars.
Yeah.
But this one is a race car, but it's going to be tons of opposite lock because it's on an ice track.
Right.
So I hope they do a round
Or you
wheel.
just how much can you pretzel your arms?
Oh no, that's how you break your fucking hands.
True.
All right, we got a lot of questions. I want to get to them. Updates on the Nodus watch delivery event. It's going to be January 13th in Los Angeles. We are going to pick a winner the first week of December for the prototype.
Okay.
We'll do it on the show when I get back from my vacaciones in Florida.
Someone asked if they were supposed to receive a confirmation email.
They were not. I had an autoresponder up,
Okay.
but it was going completely fucking haywire, and it didn't work at all, and so I turned it off.
Gotcha.
But it's a Gmail address. If you sent it in, I assure you, we got it.
Okay.
We got a couple hundred responses. And thank you to everybody for entering that. So anyway, January 13th is going to be the delivery event in Vegas, in LA at Westside Collector Car Storage, South Bay. If anyone who has ordered a watch would like to collect it in Los Angeles at the event, and that's going to be for the mint and the orange dial, they can do so. Just let Nodus know, and when the winner wins, I will arrange the transport of them here. Additionally, in watch news, the Nodus guys have gone to Le Jeux Perret in Switzerland, who make our movements, and have pitched my kitchen timer complication, and Le Jeux Perret is considering it.
Cool.
So there may be
You're
a
a
future
tastemaker.
in which a kitchen timer countdown chronograph is on the table. Maybe.
That's
I don't know
rad.
if they're going to go for it. I don't know how much it'll. I mean, they may say we'll do it, and each movement is $5,000. Like it may be like, ugh, well, we're not doing that, but it's on the table. Okay, let's go to the Patreon. Of course, patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. You want to get questions in, you want to watch the live stream, you want to do all kinds of things that you can only do as a patron. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. We have a shitload, right?
Yeah.
Of questions.
We've got this many.
Oh, all right. Well, that's a lot. If we don't get through
Manageable,
them,
not insane.
If we don't get through them, we'll have another crew show on Tuesday that we will record from the Mustang Dark Horse on our way back from filming a review. And so if you have questions about the Mustang Dark Horse, you can get that into the next show. Let's see. Christian says, why do exotic cars have issues with batteries? And that's pretty much the question. I think there's two problems. One is exotic cars are driven less than regular cars. So your average if your average car sat as long as an exotic car typically sits in between drives, it might have similar battery issues that exotic car does. 2 is in an exotic car, weight is typically a consideration, meaning they might be using smaller, lighter, and the minimum battery necessary for weight reasons rather than the, just having no concern over that. So, for instance, Porsche lithium-ion batteries or McLaren lithium-ion batteries, those cars are designed and the owners should be instructed that if you're not going to drive it for more than like a week, it should really be on a tender. A lot of those cars come with tenders or you can buy them as options. And so, yeah, I mean, we keep all the cars here at Westside on tenders. All my cars are kept on tenders. And yeah, if you have any car that you're not going to drive for more than a week or two, you should keep it on a tender. And that will typically solve that issue. But it's mainly those two things. They're not driven as often, and the weight and size of the battery is more of a concern over the long-lastingness of a battery. If you're buying a Ford Explorer, Ford probably wants that car to be able to sit for a month and not be dead, versus that's not a concern with a Lamborghini or a McLaren because the battery would be unnecessarily big and heavy, and they expect that you're going to have a garage where you could keep it on a tender.
Right.
Yeah. Derek Yegan says, the holiday season is in full swing. Which songs are you least excited to hear this year?
So I like Christmas music, but I was at a restaurant in Palo Alto last week, and they had only 4 songs on their Christmas playlist. So I was there for 20 minutes, and I heard the same song 3 times. So I don't really care about it. Some of it's great, some of it's not. But you need to give your employees more than that, or they are going to lose their minds and burn the place to the ground.
I fucking hate Christmas music
so
much.
I think some of it's pretty good.
I hate Christmas.
Yeah. I can the old stuff.
I can pinpoint it to my time working retail. When I worked retail and I had to listen to the Christmas tape, fucking 8 times a day, every day, 60 minutes of Christmas music, I wanted to blow my fucking brains out. And that ruined the whole genre for me forever.
Exactly.
So for me, my favorite song this season is, of course, Adam Sandler Hanukkah song, because it's the only one for Jews. We don't have anything else. Tyler Barnett says, favorite Thanksgiving dish from the past week. My whole rotisserie chicken at the Dolly Parton Stampede. And wants to shout out to my iguana hunting guide in Miami. That's Iguana Safari Tours. His name is Monty. Can you just take a look at it? I think it's Iguana Safari Tours, and you should definitely drop my name. Is that what it is? Iguana Safari Tours?
Well, I found Hunting Iguanas Florida, but
no. Look on Instagram. Look on Instagram. I think it's. And I'll look up. Choonhound says some nice things, and then says, you always say cars aren't investments and that we're way better off investing in mutual funds, yet you, meaning me, seem to win far more than you lose. Countach, NSX, DeLorean, etc. What's your secret? Buy the things that people are going to want before they want them. I've always been in a position, I guess, I don't know. That's not. I haven't always won, but I've always bought stuff a little bit before it took off, and sold stuff kind of right before it took off. I mean, my DeLorean, Iguana Safari Tours on Instagram. Hit up Madi. And also, I look like iguanasafaritours.com. Also, I thought I saw a website there. I mean, first off, I haven't sold the Countach or the NSX yet, so you can't call it a win until you sell it. And I mean, I don't have a secret, but I think my financial situation and my desire to buy the cars that I wanted in my childhood allowed me to be a half a step ahead of other people. And I've also bought really good examples of stuff.
Yeah,
that's
I think
sellable.
that's accurate.
Yeah. I think.
You were never really into the Joneses much. And I think that, especially, I think the job of driving lots of new things and not many of them pulled you in, like Focus RS or Fiesta ST. But otherwise, you drive everything, and I haven't seen you drive another car where you're like, I'm going to buy that. You know, it's very, very rare. So, but you wanted to buy something, and you had the means for it. So you look at, well, can I get the thing I loved when I was a kid?
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, you just happened to do it before Radwood became a thing.
Yeah, I think my timing on some stuff was good. If I sold my Ferrari 328 today, I might not make any money on it. I don't plan to, but I think that's a real likelihood. I sold my Skyline and I made money on it, but if I'd kept it for 3 more years, I would have made 4 times as much money. So yeah, I don't. It's not a secret. It's just buy the shit you like, and buy it before anyone else learns how cool it is.
Have you heard of this Amazon company? I'm thinking of buying that stock.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Chappie says, interested in thoughts on the value for a certified pre-owned Audi SQ7 after driving the V8 Cayenne. I've never driven the SQ7.
Neither have I.
I don't know anything about it. I mean, I know it exists, but like, I couldn't tell you. Sorry. Miguel Cosgrove says, what happened to the CRX you picked up in Canada way, way back? It was so rusty, we didn't pick it up. It literally, the shock tower supports were so rusted that we were like, we can't even drive this. It's not safe. And so we bought a camouflage painted Volkswagen Golf instead, and drove that back to New York, where I sold it to my parents' gardeners for $750.
I forgot about that trip.
Yep. All the pizza in my belly. How tough of a spot does Volvo find themselves in with Geely selling off their stock? I don't actually. This is news I'm learning from all the pizza in my belly. I don't know. What is the story here, Zach?
If this is, let's see, November 18th, Geely Group has sold 3.4% of its shares in Volvo, decreasing from 82 to 78.7 in a move that Geely describes as, quote, creating more opportunities to generate sustainable long-term value for institutional and retail investors. Proceeds of that sale will fund the global business development for Geely. So they only sold 5%, and they are still a majority shareholder by a huge margin.
I don't think that it change. Why would that make that a tough spot for Volvo? I mean, I don't necessarily. It's not like they sold off their entire position. I don't know. 5%.
Shares were sold. Let's see. According to Reuters, the shares were sold with a discount and generated $350 million. Geely says it remains steadfast in its commitment to supporting Volvo cars in its transformation to all-electric car manufacturer. I
don't know.
I don't know if it affected. Oh, the sale caused the shares of Volvo to drop in price about 14% on Friday. So yeah, that's a lot. But
probably finds Volvo investors are probably not happy, but they're still making cars.
Yeah, I don't know how that really changes things.
I don't know. David Bodenstein says, thoughts on a Thoroughbred Stallion 3-wheeler.
Is that
a thing? What is that? I hope that's not a thing, because I would never drive something called Thoroughbred Stallion 3-wheeler. Is it a thing?
That's a thing.
Your face says it's a thing.
It's made by Motortrike.com. Is this real? Maybe this looks like something from the 90s.
Oh, God. Oh, no. No.
First of all, we know that 3-wheelers with 2 wheels in the back are quite dangerous.
Yeah, that's very bad. So it's on air ride.
I mean, it's very aerodynamic looking. This looks like it was designed in 97.
Terrible. No. That is so far into absolute fucking no. That's heinous looking.
Well, I think most trikes are
quite unattractive.
Look
at the steering wheel. Oh, it's terrible.
Oh, it's not handlebars.
Do you straddle that? Is that a vent and a cup holder in your balls, where your balls go?
Yes, look
there's
here.
one seat in the middle.
Peeking out.
Dude, there's a double cup holder in between your legs.
Well, there's nothing else between there.
Oh, dude.
The internet's gonna have fun with that one.
This exists because rascals are limited to 3.5 miles an hour. That's awful.
It weighs 1,800 pounds.
Oh,
which is
God.
quite heavy. 143 horsepower. It's a
It's
Ford
a Ford
2.3 liter.
2.3.
Four-cylinder.
Oh,
It's
wow.
an NA Focus engine.
Oh no.
Airbags,
Yeah, no. There's a
much is
lot.
this?
There's a lot wrong with this.
$34,000.
Absolutely not. Do you know how much? How much Miata 34? It gets you a brand new Miata.
Well, but trike people aren't Miata people. I think they're trying to be. We've talked about this. I'm actually giving your argument back to
Yeah,
you
yeah.
that you gave to me.
Yeah.
But the people that ride the trikes, like the Harley ones, they want to have a motorcycle, but maybe they're physically limited or they don't want to tip over or something. This feels like the futuristic version of that. But it has a steering wheel.
And it's got fucking Boyd Coddington 1997 rear wheels on it. And this looks
this?
looks horrible. There has got, I mean, $35,000. There's so many cool used cars you could get for that. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Buy a Polaris Slingshot. If you want a vehicle with three wheels for 35 grand, either find a Morgan three-wheeler or get a Polaris Slingshot.
Motor Trike began in 1994.
Yeah. And
With
they have
2
not
employees.
updated their design since.
They moved in 95, and now they're still there.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Don't buy one of those. That looks awful. That's no good. That's no good at all. Let's see. Miguel says, what type of motorsport does Ford have the most activity in?
NASCAR. It's gotta be.
Probably. I mean, Mustangs are also road raced.
Well, they especially with the new GT3D.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Yeah, IMSA. I mean, but there's NHRA. They're racing. I mean, I think the Mustang is the most raced car on the planet right now. Jim
maybe.
Farley made that claim when I was in Monterey.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, I can't verify it. I don't know if it's true, but I think the Mustang is the most raced car, according to him.
I mean, Miata still. Oh, that was a while ago. I don't know, but I mean, I think, in a NASCAR field of 40-something cars, it's usually a third Mustangs, a third Camrys, a third Chevy Camaro-ish things. So, because Miguel said he's trying to get into the motorsport, I mean, there's a lot of NASCAR teams. There's the support teams. There's truck teams. There are so many different tiers to oval racing that are sponsored or involved with Ford. And then they do a lot of off-road racing now. They have the Broncos. They have Baja, short course stuff probably. And then again, like you said, the IMSA stuff. So there's a lot of ways to do it.
George Sherman says, I find that when I space out during racing games like Forza, I put in my best lap times. When you're on a track in real life, are you talking yourself through a lap or do you have no thoughts and you're in the groove? I find, well, certainly my best lap times are not when I have cameras on the car or have other things to worry about other than driving the car. My best lap times, I am just kind of flowing with the car and having fun. I'm not making videos or narrating. I'm definitely thinking. I'm not a totally brain off kind of guy. But I feel like when I get to the point where I'm kind of at one with the car and very comfortable with the track.
Yeah, it's the flow state thing.
Yeah.
And I think if you're over focused, sometimes you can overdrive the car or get like too amped up and you're not feeling as much. And then you can also underdrive it if you just like zone out.
Yeah. Tom says, I know in the past you've both contributed in one way or another to various TV shows. Would either of you ever get back into the broadcast cable TV game, or have you had your fill and are glad to be done?
I mean, it would just depend on the project. For
Yeah.
Sure.
It's not that it's TV as a medium, but like it would have to be a project that was actually fun and interesting and original, and because we can make it's not for money. Like no one is paying real money to be on TV anymore. They think you want to be on TV more than you want to earn a living, and so there's a lot of just taking advantage of people. And like we can make more money just like doing this or fucking parking cars or doing something else. But like if it was interesting, that would be nice. When was the last time you heard an interesting TV pitch, though? Fucking.
Well, I don't get pitched any shows, but I mean, there's TV shows I like. I think all of them are fiction, besides the Alone.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, the medium doesn't matter. It's more about the project and then the pay, because a lot of TV goes, "Ooh, you want to do this? How about for $200?
Yeah,
for an episode."
Yeah, well, they'll pay you by episode,
Right.
and then not tell you how long it's going to take to make an episode. So they'll go, "Oh, $5,000, $10,000 an episode," and you go, "Well, that sounds pretty good," because coming from the internet, you think about that being a day or 2 days. And then it's like, oh no, the episode is 7 segments. You have to fly to 4 different cities. And then there's a studio segment later. And it takes actually a month and a half to film each of these episodes. You're like, what? Now I'm working like, now I'm
There's
making like
20 working
minimum.
days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now I'm making like minimum wage. Like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
that's not. It's been a very long time since anyone approached me with an attractive TV pitch. But I would be open to it. Greg Voberil, been shopping for V8 powered Lexuses, mainly GSF and IS500F Sport. Is the GSF still the better car? Daily driver, spirited driving, no track days. I love the rare factor of the GSF and being a true F performance car, but the IS500 is newer with better tech. I don't think they're hugely different. I think they drive pretty similar. One is just a little smaller than the other.
I don't know. We drove the IS500.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah. It's a good 7/10ths car.
Yep.
I think the GSF might still be a little better. Does GSF have rear steer? The GSF was very
the
agile.
GS350 F Sport had rear steer. So
Yeah.
I think.
The GSF was really agile. Does it have it? I don't know. I think it might come down to do you need the back seat or not? Because the IS has a pretty small back seat and the GS is very usable.
GSF Sports, it's an option with them. So not all of them came with rear steer. So check your local listings.
But it's incremental differences. They got the same vibe.
Yeah.
I know it's not the answer you're looking for, but to me, the difference really is the back seat. I mean, the powertrain is the same. The steering and stuff is pretty much the same.
The transmission, how did the transmission in the IS500 was like fine, not super quick.
Yeah,
but
it's
fine.
the same as the other one, the Eisen 8-speed with the locking first and second gear. It's good.
It's just a slightly smaller car, which is nice, depending on what you're doing with it.
Yeah. I would personally probably do the IS over the GS because I just like a smaller car and it's still got plenty of room in the front. But the LC is the grand champ.
Yes.
LC 500 that's where it's at. That's where all the good shit goes. Let's see. Jared says, you and other automotive outlets have talked about frustrations with automakers for moving away from physical buttons, most of which are physical volume knob. It's actually the physical scrolling wheel that I like. Do you find most people do not use the steering wheel controls 99% of the time, or am I the weirdo? My wife uses the steering wheel controls a lot. I like the volume knob. I like the scrolly wheel. Our Ford, when you're going through stations or on Sirius or whatever, the options are hunt and peck at the icons on the screen or use forward and backwards on the steering wheel. So we use forward and backwards on the steering wheel because that's the only physical button option. And then the volume is next to it, but there's also the big volume knob. So we actually use the forward and backward on the steering wheel to go through radio stations and the knob to change volume more often. My Porsche has a volume knob and a scrolly wheel, and I do not wish it had anything else but that.
Yeah. Because sometimes I want to adjust the volume very quickly, and the knob is vastly superior to tap, 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 tap. If I'm just adjusting it a little on the highway, maybe I'd use the steering wheel controls, but I like the instant control of the knob.
Yeah. I like a knob and a knob for volume and a scrolly wheel. It doesn't mean you can't also have a steering wheel control. But no, I would say I do not use it 99% of the time. I use it if there is not a better controller on the dash. Yeah. Sean Finney, go down, Zach.
Oh, sorry.
Says, can you compare the R53 Mini S to the Fiesta ST? The R53 Mini S feels like if BMW built a Fiesta ST, for better or worse. Feels a little more solid. The build quality feels tighter, but also once it hits 50,000 miles, it'll probably fall apart. That supercharged engine makes a really cool sound.
They feel stiffer sprung too.
Yeah,
right?
they do feel stiff.
Not only does the build feel more solid, but the suspension setup is stiffer and more solid.
Yeah, the Fiesta has sharper steering, but also more like body roll. I loved my Mini. It was great. We got a Mini that's closing Tuesday on Cars and Bids. It's going to go cheap. It's really, really mint. Justin Gerard, what is your favorite engine note from a car under 100K MSRP? GT350, Shelby?
Oh, that's a good one. I was going to say, what was an Aston Martin Vantage?
Oh, V8 Vantage?
V8 Vantage.
Yeah.
Like, that was under 100.
Maybe.
I think I'd go there.
Might have been just on the edge. It's close. Jaguar F-Type R. That was pretty awesome.
That was under 100 when it came out? Oh, probably.
It might have been in the 90s.
Okay.
The first one might have been in the 90s.
That was quite a note.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah. By the time they got to like the SVR Coupe, it was definitely over 100, but the 2014, 15 ones.
What am I saying? Audi RS4, 4.2 liter.
Oh, yeah.
I'd go that.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, the Audi 4.2, that's a good one. Gabe Colston says, what is your favorite car book? My favorite car books are like political books. I mean, they're like not, like the books I've read are about like transportation and how cities are set up and like the high cost of free parking and paved paradise and the fucking Ralph Nader book and stuff like that. I don't really like to read a lot about cars in the other kind of way because I just spend a lot of time doing that for work. I have hundreds and hundreds of coffee table books about cars. I couldn't possibly pick a favorite. Yeah. I mean,
I've only read like what AJ Bames.
Yeah,
like
I suppose that
really
one,
good.
Arsenal of Democracy,
That was one.
and Go Like Hell. Those are like good ones. Randy Lanier's book is fun.
PJ O'Rourke's book is entertaining.
Yeah,
And then Driving Like Crazy.
Yeah, I mean Cannonball, Brock Yates, the original Cannonball book. Also the Brock Yates biography of Enzo Ferrari, I suppose, is pretty good. The fucking Henry Ford one and the Fordlandia one, which is not really about cars as much. Henry Ford goes to Brazil because he was a lunatic and tries to start a whole other society down there, again, because he was a lunatic. I guess that's a good cross-section. Siamese sports car enthusiast, what's your favorite cross-branded car trim? Nautica, Mercury, Villager, no question. It was superb. Absolutely superb.
This is the end.
Okay. Connor Hedges says, for up to 40K new or used, what is the best driving automatic transmission car? Who has a good gearbox for under 40K
Anything
new
with
or
a ZF,
used?
like the BMW M340i. Steering's not great. Steering wheel's too thick, but it shifts well.
228i M Sport automatic.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun. Subaru BRZ.
Oh.
It's a really good automatic that most
true.
people don't talk about very often. That's
For
a
an auto with
shockingly
paddles.
good automatic. Yeah. I mean, if you want to, that's fun. If you don't need a back seat, I would say a new BRZ or 86 with the automatic is surprisingly good. If you want a back seat and want to go slightly used, the 230i M Sport or 228i M Sport is pretty nice. That's a good one. Didn't they do a 135 IS that had a dual clutch? I think you can get. I think it's like a 2013 maybe 2014.
Is that when they also had the 335 IS? With the
With the dual clutch. Yeah, I think they did a DCT in it 1 year. I think it was a 1 year only, the IS. I think they're hard to find. But that could be it.
They did.
Yeah, that might be nice.
I think it's 2011.
Yeah. Eoin Smith.
He's from Ireland, so.
And he wants its tour guide thing.
We could just skip it. Use Google. Eoin.
Yeah, I don't. I'm sorry. I appreciate your question, but I don't like being an LA tour guide. I probably get 2 or 3 emails a week. I'm coming to LA. Where should I go? I should probably just put it on our website and do it once and have a section, an LA tour guide section.
We need to do the video for Patreon.
Yeah.
Here's your LA tour guide video.
Okay, the Patreon LA tour guide video. Okay, that we can do. We'll do a live podcast and it'll just be the tour guide.
That's all it's going to be.
And then,
Yeah. Eoin, just don't go to Hollywood unless you're seeing a show there. Skip that. I'll say that.
Skip Hollywood for sure. But like, yeah, I get a lot of those. We have tours at WCCS. Come take one. That's the only thing I can say. All right. Thanks everyone for their questions. That's a good show. This has been a busy week of travel for us. This next 4 days is really busy because I'm going away again on Thursday for my birthday. I'm going to Florida to hunt iguanas with Monty. Iguana Safari Tours. We got the Dark Horse coming tomorrow. We're going to shoot the video of that on Tuesday, and then we'll record a podcast in the car on the way back. So if you have Dark Horse questions, get in the Patreon and ask those, and we'll try to answer those for you. But thank you to our patrons for supporting the show. Thanks to everyone else for listening, and we'll see you later.